All right, you fools. You've driven me near mad with your peering through the keyholes and gaping through the curtains. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? Well, I'll show you. Here's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am. Hi, I'm Bobby, and we have a special guest star for today's episode of Dusty Old Movies. The star of the film, my good friend, the Invisible Man. Wow, 84 years and you still look the same. So let's take a look at my friend's favorite movie. That imaginative and innovative Universal horror film, The Invisible Man. Known as the father of science fiction because of his stories about alien invasions, time machines, and his approach of having the fantastic occur in ordinary settings, H.G. Wells published his novel, The Invisible Man, in 1897. The idea of turning it into a movie had been kicking around Hollywood for a while, but both MGM and Universal had passed on it because of how difficult the special effects would be. But after the success of Frankenstein, starring Boris Karloff, Universal was looking for more horror vehicles to star Boris. So they asked their special effects man, John Fulton, or as they called him, the Doctor, if he thought he could do it. The Doctor said yes, and Universal bought the film rights. Because of Paramount's loose adaptation of The Island of Dr. Moreau, H.G. Wells insisted on script approval, so the final script was relatively close to the novel. Frankenstein director James Whale was brought on board. And because Carl Laemmle Jr., who was running Universal, respected his talent, James Whale had complete creative control over all his films. So Whale peppers The Invisible Man with his unique sense of humor, his favorite character actors, and even though it's technically set in the village of Iping, the Lion's Head Inn is very much reminiscent of Whale's old hometown, Dudley. However, when Universal tried to worm out of giving Boris Karloff his contractual raise, Karloff left the studio. With Karloff out, James Whale was looking at screen tests of different actors, and he found one that was overly theatrical, hammy, and all around badly acted, but with a one-of-a-kind voice. The actor's name was Claude Rains. The scientist Dr. Jack Griffin has developed an invisibility formula and has become invisible. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to make himself visible again. And even worse, unbeknownst to him, one of the drugs in his formula, monocaine, also causes madness. Jack leaves his home and secretly goes to the Lion's Head Inn in Iping to try to find a cure. Jack's boss, Dr. Cranley, and Jack's fiancée, Flora, who's Dr. Cranley's daughter, are deeply concerned about him. But Jack's co-worker, Dr. Kemp, is more interested in flirting with Flora. The monocaine begins to get the better of Jack Griffin, and he goes on a rampage of crime and murder. So much of what horror is was created by those Universal monster movies. And here, we have the predecessor to monsters like Freddy Krueger and of Chucky, because the Invisible Man is the first funny monster. Just look what he's doing now. Typical for Universal's horror output, the story has a solid foundation. The opening scene, a cold, snowy night at the Lion's Head Inn, is filled with an air of mystery and the English pub atmosphere. Jack battling insanity is a good internal conflict, and the love story between Jack and Flora works well too. However, unlike movies like Dracula and The Mummy, here the monster is the protagonist, and the fun of the movie is watching him mess with people. The film's tone of dark humor is set up with the very first line, when a guy at the Lion's Head Inn is telling a funny story. Did you hear about Mrs. Mason's little Willie? Sent him to school and found him buried 10 feet deep in a snowdrift. How'd they get him out? They brought the fire engine in, put the hose pipe in it, pumped it backwards and sucked him out. So right away, we know that it's okay to laugh at other people's misfortune. And most of the normal characters are either annoying, unscrupulous, or just stupid, so it's especially fun to laugh at them. Sometimes the Invisible Man messes with people in lighthearted ways, like when he steals the policeman's pants, but he also commits murder, and it even causes a train to derail. In either event, it's always creative, and he almost always has a funny remark. We will begin with the Reign of Terror, A few murders here and there. Murders of great men, murders of little men, just to show we make no distinction. The Invisible Man takes such delight in killing people, and obviously James Whale took delight in filming these scenes, and as a result, you take delight in watching them. While James Whale created the film's darkly comic wit, it's the actors who pulled it off. Jack Griffin, or the Invisible Man, is a poor scientist who created the invisibility formula to make a name for himself, but now he has no idea how to become visible again. Good going, buddy. For the part, they needed an actor who could steal the show without their face or even their body, and Claude Rains' voice gave him all the screen presence that he needed.
Live fully while you may and reckon not the cost. Deny yourself nothing. Flame and blaze like a torch and toss the fire about you.
Claude began life as a poor Cockney boy with a thick accent and speech impediments, and he totally transformed himself into the epitome of sophistication and class, and developed a voice that was part American, part English, a dash of Cockney, and with a slight airy quality from being gassed in World War I.
What in my domain is that?
Because Jack is insane, he bounces from one extreme to the other. Claude does this seamlessly. Sometimes he's playful and is having fun with being invisible, like when he kicks Kemp in the butt. Other times, he's completely crazy, and Claude goes completely over the top, and he has this great crazy laugh. However, he also has a homicidal side, and is genuinely dangerous. But he also has human moments where you feel sympathy for him. My favorite scene is when he's with Flora. He loves her, and as soon as he sees her, he feels normal again. But the monocane is too powerful, and he's not able to hold it together. Oh, Flora, how wonderful to see you. How beautiful you look. You've been crying. I want to help you. Why did you do this? For you, Flora. For wealth and fame and honor. The secret of invisibility lies there in my books. The nations of the world shall bid for it. The nation that wins will sweep the world with invisible armies. Jack, I want you to let my father help you. You know how clever he is. Your father clever? He's got the brain of a tapeworm, a maggot beside mine. So he was able to combine tragedy, horror, comedy, and campiness all in a single performance. And you could see why he became one of the best character actors that Hollywood ever had. Gloria Stewart, who plays Flora, does a great job too, and brings a lot of heart to that scene. However, in the over-the-top contest, the one that rivals Claude Rains is Una O'Connor as Mrs. Jenny Hall, the landlady of the Lion's Head Inn. James Whale loved Una O'Connor and thought she was so funny. And here she's snippy, bossy, and when she's scared, she has the most hilarious and annoying screams you have ever heard. And her interactions with her suffering husband are just a delight. You get out of here! Oh, shut up! My only real complaint is I wish these characters like Flora and Jenny were in the movie more. They bring so much to it. But in terms of screen time, their parts are actually rather small. And I would have rather spent more time with them in the later part of the movie than with the miscellaneous policemen. Along with the characters making the film great, so do the special effects. Before you watch The Invisible Man, remind yourself that this was made in 1933, and you will be blown away by the special effects. The best way to do special effects is to use multiple approaches, like in Jurassic Park, how they use both mechanical and computer-generated dinosaurs. And in this movie, to achieve the illusion of invisibility, they use a combination of traveling matte shots, wire work, and a few other nifty tricks. When the Invisible Man is only partially visible, the Doctor, aka John Fulton, used traveling matte shots, which were basically an early version of green screen. They'd film Claude against a black background, and he was wearing all black, except for what they wanted to show. Then they'd film a separate shot of the setting and other actors, and then they'd put the footage together. These effects were groundbreaking and still hold up. Now, when the Invisible Man is lifting something or manipulating objects, they would use carefully hidden wires. The wire work holds up well too. Now, I own the movie on Blu-ray, and if I'm actively looking for the wires, I can only just barely see them in just a couple of places. What I love about these effects is, first of all, they have fun with them. The movie does have a sense of humor, so they do things like having pants walk by themselves, but they're also really detail-oriented. So like when the Invisible Man sits down, they have the cushion on the chair ready to come in. So even if you've seen more sophisticated special effects, these are still a joy to watch, and they absolutely made the most of what they had available. As it turned out, tons of people saw The Invisible Man, and it spawned a whole franchise of movies, including one with Abbott and Costello, and an upcoming remake with Johnny Depp. Unlike other monster actors like Karloff and Lugosi, Claude Rains' future success was more in mainstream films, and he was even the first actor to get $1 million salary. His on-screen girlfriend fared well too, and Gloria Stewart became the oldest actress to get an Oscar nomination for playing the Old Rose in 1997's Titanic. Sadly, James Whale's future was not as rosy. When the Laemmles lost Universal, he lost his creative freedom. It took all the fun out of making movies for him, and he retired from Hollywood. In 1957, after suffering the effects of a stroke, he committed suicide. Even though they're all lumped together, each Universal monster has his own individuality. Frankenstein's monster is the most tragic. Dracula is the creepiest. And the Invisible Man? He's the most fun. So I give it 3.5 screaming landladies out of 4. Well, goodbye, Invisible Man. I wish I could see you more.